course that we have, you guys interested in becoming independent freight dispatchers, we have this up-level dispatching. Links will be below this video, and I really want to cover a couple of things before starting. So let's go and talk about, here's what we are going to cover. I really wanted to talk about the planning and communication. So we'll be talking about planning, communication, and obviously we will have some time for the Q&A session. And I talked about this last live stream that we created a free startup guide for you guys for new independent freight dispatchers who are interested in becoming independent freight dispatchers. There's how to become a truck dispatcher. This is also available on the DAT's website under the resources section. So we wrote this startup guide for anybody who are really interested in becoming a truck dispatcher. So it's really good content. There will, it's a free. You can download. There's a link below this video. So obviously, please like. I really need your comments. Please ask your questions. And obviously, if you really like this video, please share with others so that they can benefit. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. As I said, we talk about business, we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about trucking and the independent freight dispatching, specifically. So let me take a couple of questions first, and let's get started. So I have a couple of, super excited. Okay, very interested. So let me take real quick this question. Let me see. Ken says, how should I pay my first truck dispatcher? Are deposits done in real-time transactions, weekly or bi-weekly? And obviously, Ken, here's the thing. Everything boils down to like the agreement when you have your independent freight dispatcher. So if you say, I'll be paying you, hourly, then obviously you'll be paying, hourly rate. So if you're saying, I'll be paying daily, then obviously you'll be paying daily. But what I've, seen, and I'm doing the same, it's like bi-weekly. So for independent freight dispatcher overseas is a little bit different. For example, they really wanted to get paid monthly. So we are in the United States, it's kind of, bi-weekly. It's, it's a common one. But again, everything boils down to the agreement you have with your independent freight dispatcher. So how you pay, how should I pay first truck dispatcher? The pay actually, and again, it basically how you guys agreed on. So if this independent freight dispatcher overseas, and obviously you'll be sending money using other resources. And if this independent freight dispatcher or in-house dispatcher here in the States, then obviously you'll be doing ACH, sending money that way or depositing money. So I'll take one more question and then we start talking about the planning and the importance of the communication, meaning in the independent freight dispatching business. So let's take this. For the Facebook users, since I'm streaming using the YouTube, so I don't see the names. So some of my students, texted me, messaged me, and saying, Kamal, I am your student, but you didn't recognize me. But as you can see, it just says Facebook user. I don't see names. So no offense, please. So what is the most efficient way to find carriers? Social media campaigns, joining different groups, Craigslist website, word of mouth, okay, or etc. And here's the thing: we will talk about a little bit. We'll touch about getting the customers, and obviously this is the common question. But I really wanted to stick to the plan and talk about recommendations, tips and tactics as far as planning and communication goes, as far as independent freight dispatching. But we will talk about the acquiring customers, obviously. So if you guys remember, let me go back to this slide real quick. So let me pull this. So we will talk about planning, meaning you being an independent freight dispatcher, and then communication, obviously. So, and again, we'll have some time and then we'll do the Q&A. So the planning, obviously, I really wanted to bring this up that, there will be two different groups, like Group A and Group B. Like we can call them independent freight dispatchers Group A and independent freight dispatchers Group B. And these are the people who are business owners, let's say, and group A obviously planning and ahead, meaning before you come into the office, you planning, you calling your drivers, and you trying to see where they are at. Are they delivered? Are they driving right now? Are they parked? And you planning, what I would say your planning starts with this, basically by calling the drivers, or you can say carrier's driver. Basically, they are your customers, right? So the group B, on the other hand, they will just come into the office, maybe, I don't know, in the morning, maybe in the afternoon, in like they're in the office, and then they start logging into the computer, and then logging into their load boards and start searching loads, and then start calling obviously drivers. And then what will happen is that it's obviously it's not planned. What will happen is that when you call the driver, and then the driver might say, well, I'm not driving today, or there's not enough time to drive, or I'm on vacation, or I don't want to drive, or I quit, or something like that. And what happens, and then independent freight dispatcher get frustrated, right? So you don't need this. The planning, like, this is the most important part of this business. And I'm not going to talk about the importance of communication or the planning. You guys know the importance of planning and communication, but I really specifically want to talk about in the independent freight dispatching business. Planning is everything, and you must plan your trips ahead. For example, you call the driver, let's say his name is Michael, and you say, hey, Michael, I'll be searching loads for you tomorrow. Like, did you deliver, or are you picking up, or where are you at, for example, right? And based on that information, obviously you're planning, and each customer will, different. The position will be different. So that is that. And the communication part of it, this is, I think, like, this is everything. Like, communication in this business is everything, because 90% is actually talking to brokers, talking to carriers, talking to drivers. And inside the training, we talk about specifically, there's a module covering like the psychology behind like, it's literally like what's happening inside the driver's mind when he's driving, when he's outside, right? So communication is crucial. And again, there will be people, two groups of people, right? So the group A and group B that we talked about, when I started this, video, and I said the group A, those people, they're really good at planning, and they're really good at communication. And here's the comes where people ask this question, like, Kamal, we have carriers and owner operators, they can easily dispatch themselves, they don't need us. And they really need you if you're really good at planning, right? And if you're really good at communication. And obviously they don't need these people, for example, right? The people that they don't plan, and they don't really good at communication. And what I'm saying is that it's not about English. And I always say this, English is my second language. Well, it's totally okay, there's no problem with it. But what I'm saying is that it actually, how you behave when you're talking to, let's say, carriers, when you're talking to drivers, for example, when you call brokers, right? Like, when you call a broker and he's on the phone, you're talking to him, you don't know, you can't even imagine that how his day was, for example, how many calls he did already. Like, you're only serving carriers, and obviously meaning drivers and carriers. What brokers think about, they're really push from the shipper side. Hey, did you ship this load? Like, did you dispatch? Like, did you assign? And obviously they're talking about, they're really interacting with carriers, and obviously with the dispatchers as well. They're really it's an intense job as far as like broker goes. So if you don't know the tips and negotiation tips and tactics, how to talk to them, well, obviously you really wanted to be good at communication with them. I was visiting one of my friends. He's a dispatcher, he's a really good dispatcher, like, he's a pro, he knows like ins and out of the load board. But no offense if he's watching, but when it comes to communication, he's really harsh, and he's really hard on brokers, and he's losing all the time his brokers. And obviously because he's pro, he knows how to get those brokers work with him. But then when it comes to communication, right? So it messes up. Communication is really important in this business. And another communication tip is I always, and I teach this, in detail inside the training, is that you always need to update your broker. Meaning, well, he's really busy. Imagine he's, working with, dispatchers and drivers and insurance, claims. He's dealing with this mess, and there's like, carriers and shippers and pushing them so that they can assign loads. And he needs some kind of stress relief, right? When you call him or just emailing saying, hey, I don't know, his name is Josh, for example, you can say, hey, Josh, we picked this load up, so we're on our way to deliver this load. So this is how you build actually a relationship with brokers, and it's really important. When we let's say when I just dispatch a load, let's say, to my driver, and I just email the broker saying, hey, driver, like a dispatch driver on his way to pick up a load. Boom. It's first update. Second, drivers, sends me a picture or, text saying, hey, Kamal, I picked up the load. So it's secure. So it's ready to go. What should I do? What should I do? Like coming back to the terminal or just, go ahead and deliver the load. So then I would, immediately second email updating saying, hey, he picked it up. Maybe if he's sending me, the picture, and then I would say include the picture and saying, hey, there you go. Load on the trailer. It's secured, ready to go. Don't worry. Imagine when broker sees this. Imagine when the broker receives this email and he sees that everything is okay. Now he puts you or your company or your carrier's company, like they will have the favorite list, the list that they really calling when they need help, like immediate help from carriers. They'll be looking after you. They will be calling you. They'll be emailing you the freight before even posted on the load board. See, this is really important, and I'll take start taking the questions, but these are the tips and tactics, or I would say recommendations, when it comes to planning and communication. So let's take let me take this off, take questions, and let me see as far as time. Okay, so let me take some questions. Okay, we took this. Okay, there you go. Adam says, "What do you mean by saying independent? Is it as freelance dispatch?" It's actually a good question. So here's the thing: sometimes this independent, and I think we talked about this last stream. We did, I think on Friday. So the independent word really sometimes, it gets confusing. Why? People thinking that, okay, I'll be independent dispatcher and then I'll be working for a carrier. Then that means being an independent. So I don't want to go like working inside the office, well, I mean in the office working for a carrier, meaning I can work from home, but it like I'm still employee for this carrier. But what we teach is that the independent being, you're not dependent on a single carrier, right? So you own a business. So that means the independent freight dispatching business, now you have services, now you're offering your services to carriers. By doing this, following this business model, you are independent. You're now on your own. You own a business that offers services, dispatching services to carriers. How many carriers? Sky's the limit, right? So it will basically will depend on your systems and number of, I would say, team, number of people you have, and obviously skills. So that is the independent part of it. Okay, so let me take this. Manpreet says truck dispatching same in the US and Canada. Is that a question? I don't think the US market will be same in Canada. I do have a couple of brokers, and this is why this is how I know that they're different. But I think US market is different than Canada. But being in Canada, meaning living in Canada and delivering your services to US, that is possible. In yes. Then you can do that. But I don't know as far as question like dispatching same in US and Canada. Let me see. This is another good question. Now, it says how to calculate the rate properly, and obviously, in order to calculate rate properly, you need to pick a niche. Niche meaning your market. So when I say market, what I mean is that flatbed market or reefer market or drive-in market or car hauling market. And why is that? Because each market will have different obviously rates. For example, car hauling per mile is totally different than, let's say, drive-in. I'm not going to go into details talking about the numbers, but there are like huge differences when it comes to drive-in and the car hauling or auto transport market. To calculate properly, let's say you have a carrier, for example, you really need to talk to your carrier as far as their cost per mile, right? You must understand this. I teach this inside the training, how you can properly calculate, but it's and again, there's steps that you must calculate, and you have this cost per mile, and then based on that number, start negotiating with your brokers. So let's see. There you go. It's me, Tina. Hi, Tina. Okay, so let's see. Let me take this question real quick. Truck dispatch in Canada. Okay, we took that. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Okay, awesome. So let me see if we have, let me take this. Tehran says, how do we put together contract and dispatching packet? Well, that's a really good question. And I'm glad that you didn't ask like what I can download, the templates or whatever. But when it comes to contracts, this is really important. And inside the training, we provide this contracts for our students. But we have our own small business attorney that we always get advice, recommendations, and drafting contracts. Then obviously we put policies that we need. That we think that this is how we operate our business. And I'm not going to go and talk about policies that what are the policies we have in our business or inside our business, because it's different. Our business is different than your business. Maybe you're just starting out, the policies will be different, for example. But I highly recommend hiring the small business attorney and talking to them as far as contract goes, so that they can draft contracts. And there is a cost, but this is a business, so there will be some cost up front. And dispatching packet is really you have contracts, basically the dispatcher carrier agreement. This is actually packet, but carrier packet obviously is different than dispatching packet. But mainly, so I can say this so that we don't confuse anybody, the packet is basically dispatching dispatcher carrier agreement. And there are obviously rate agreements in the couple of the pages of that, and that will do the job. So the I would say the important part of it is talking to actually the small business attorney, so that you can draft a contract for your business, because it's unique. Latania says politeness means everything. Absolutely. Okay. So let me take this. What's the best software to track the loads? They're obviously they're paid, software out there that you can use. I have, couple, ITS Dispatch. You can use that. But I don't know which part you really like. Load, it's, itself, it's like it's in general, because load can have like a lot of information. So I don't know, are you trying to track like a driver actually delivering like tracking devices inside the training, so that you can track the load? Or do you mean like tracking shippers and load numbers, etc.? Because it's really broad question as far as like how you can track loads. But everything inside the ITS Dispatch, and I think another one is the Doctor Dispatch, you can use. But yeah, those are the softwares. Let me see. So true. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me. Ahmad says, I have a hard time finding a team loads. Any recommendations? Okay, so as far as team loads go, and obviously brokers will be posting. I don't know if there's a specific way of searching this, but it's everything on broker. So if broker says it's a rush order, then they need a team for this. Then obviously you can book that load. But there's no specific way of like finding just specifically for team loads. Okay. Let's see. Do you think drive-in would be the okay? Let me take this real quick. Do you think drive-in would have the most lows to book? It really depends on the market. I would say there are a lot of freight as far as reefer goes. I think you see a lot of drive-ins out there is because you know it's scalable business. And why is scalable business? Because drivers mostly will prefer driving a drive-in. Go ahead and ask like any driver, and then say like, what would be the choice as far as like car hauling, and then flatbed, and then obviously the drive-in. About like right off the bat, I can say about 80% they will say drive-in. Why? Because there's not much of like labor involved. It's not a labor intense. It's just driving. That's what it is, and this is why people buying like more trucks. So you will have flatbed, then a carrier maybe averaging about 10 trucks, maybe like I'm talking here in the Atlanta, Georgia, and then on the drive-in you will see the drive-in owner, I mean the carrier, you will see that in average about like 40 45 trucks, because they can buy. And then drive-in is actually the trailer itself is cheaper than flatbed, for example. And in hiring drivers is much easy. It's not about like finding a load, because then it will create competition, and it's like a supply demand thing. But it's market that you need to look into the market, like actually searching and see how many loads in a particular day or a particular month you have as far as driving goes, and then obviously loads as far as reefer goes and as far as flatbed goes. So hope that helps. Okay, let me take this question real quick. Tabisa says, which app or software can I use to find carriers, truck owners? Okay, besides advertising on social media. Load boards, right? So load board is a software, so you can use load board. Inside the load board there is tool. If you have a subscription, meaning DAT Power offers that, you can find carriers. And why? Because think about carriers, they use load boards. Like without load boards, especially when they're starting out, they will be using load boards. And majority of the trucking companies, they use load boards. And obviously if carrier uses that software, and obviously you can find carriers inside that software, meaning the company. If you have the subscription, then DAT offers that tool that you can search for carriers inside that tool, inside the load board, obviously. But I prefer social media though. So let's see. Let me take this. Reed says, I'm from Canada. This course is beneficial for me. I have a lot of students from Canada, obviously. Yeah. So let me see. Okay, Tanya, one of our students, how do you build lanes, Kamal? So how I build lanes, and obviously will take hours to show you. It's not an easy process. Obviously, it's based on research. So I can say this, that I use DAT Power for my lane building, and obviously I'm not the one who builds the lane actually sitting in front of the computer, but I have a team that they do the lane building specifically. So it's not an easy process though. So let's see. Let me come back to this. What are the most labor intensive loads most time? Okay, I'm assuming maybe you're saying labor intensive loads. Machineries, obviously. And why is that? Because machineries require chains, obviously chains, strap, And then if on top of that broker requires TARP, then it gets really intense. Okay. Let me take this. What are the most labor demanding labor demanding loads most drivers are required to help unload? Correct. In the flatbed market, yes, because it's labor intense, the market, and drivers usually, when it comes to strapping or tarping, um, they don't need help. But it's not easy though. It's not easy to do strapping and chaining and obviously tarping, but the most of the time they will, let's say, air conditioners, like big commercial air conditioners. Then you might need, or they might need, forklift help. Then it's obviously, if you are loading, then shipper, they will have the forklift, and obviously when you excuse me, delivering, receiver will also have the forklift. So let me see. Let's take this question. I'm going to start dispatching within next 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. Finding your channel has been amazing. Thank you. Been training and getting familiar with the trucking industry. I'm okay. I'm well along my way. Thank you. Okay. You're welcome. Okay. I'm glad you liked it. Okay. Is there specific software for self-study for a beginner, meaning becoming independent freight dispatcher? And is there any software? Maybe it's not a software, but if you really wanted to learn, load boards, or I would say load board, then I have the links below. You can just, go ahead and start, working on it, just, clicking here and there, getting familiar with the load board, and obviously for 30 days. But software for self-study, maybe you asking books. I don't know as far as software goes, but books. But then I realized that there's I don't know, there's no demand, I think, for the independent dispatching. The books, for example, I don't know books. Maybe there some study guides that you can search maybe on Amazon or the Google. So let's see. Okay, let me go take. Okay, Anjali says, what is the fee structure for your course and duration? Everything is below this video. There is a link. Please check that link, and it will, there's a lot of information as far as, the course go. And quick thing, when it comes to course, I really want to avoid using, course. And most people think about course when you buy a course, and then obviously you just download, and there's a couple of videos, and then you watch, and a couple of, maybe templates or PDFs to download, and that's it. You are on your own, and you like confused even more. But we rather say that it's not a course, it's actually training. Call it coaching, call it mentorship program, where it's actually a program, and it's ongoing. It's like you always have a support. So you have the online part of the training where you have the access to all the modules from A to Z, and all the contracts and everything inside that you can just, when you complete that course, basically you have up and running business. And on top of that, we have Q&A sessions where we, what you can think of like coaching sessions, where it's an ongoing process every Monday and Thursday, where we go in depth. And I had a comment, I remember, I think it was like Messenger, excuse me, that, it was about like, Kamal, you have, great content on YouTube. Like, is it like I'm getting a lot of value? Well, I'm glad he liked it. But it's, course is totally different. Obviously, we're taking questions like we're giving the in general, because of the time we're limited. But inside the course, obviously, it's much, much deeper when it comes to the Q&A session goes. For example, on Monday, we do on Mondays coaching at 12 p.m. And one of my students asked me, Kamal, how should I create the advertising, or I would say sales copy, so that I just only invite the flatbed market the carriers inside the flatbed market. I don't want to deal with car house. I don't want to deal with the reefer market. I don't want to deal with drive-in. So how can I do that? And obviously, we just go in depth talking about steps and what are the processes that he can do so that he can get only flatbed carriers. So let's see. Okay, so I want to take this real quick. Bakhtiar says, I wanted to work dispatching, but anybody don't take me to work. Please give me an advice. Okay, so you want to work as an independent freight dispatcher, maybe, but you're looking for, maybe I'm assuming, based on your question, is that maybe you're looking for employment opportunity. And again, I don't have like specific way for employment because I don't teach employment side of it. But what I teach is actually owning your business and offering your services to carriers. And obviously, nobody take your independent freight dispatching the services. We can argue on this. Well, when let's say when you have skills and you're looking for employment opportunity, that will be different. But when it comes to being an independent freight dispatcher, business owner, and offering your services, and if you do the marketing correctly, you won't have any issues. Okay, so Anjali says East Bay University does provide this training for 6 months. Doesn't affect in real world. I don't know. Be honest with you, I never went to East Bay University. I don't know. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we have another. So if we have questions, so there's 30 minutes already. If you guys have questions, let me know. If not, so we will end the Q&A session, and then we planning to stick to this schedule that we have Mondays and Thursdays. I mean, the Tuesdays and Fridays for general questions. So please, if you guys have questions, let me know. So if you don't, then I'll see you on Friday. So I'll wait a couple of minutes and see if there's questions. So no questions. Okay. So guys, please, if you have any questions, let me know. Let me see. There you go. Okay, let me get this. Will says, hello, Kamal. Awesome channel. Thank you. I was wondering if there is a way to look at empty carriers actively looking for loads on DAT. I'm currently using Trucker's Edge. Okay, so you're using Trucker's Edge Pro. Okay, wondering if there is a way to look at empty carriers. Yeah, obviously. If you're using Trucker's Edge, assuming maybe you're using Trucker's Edge Pro, and obviously search for trucks, that would be the one option. So you can do that. You can search for trucks, and there's no specific way in actually, looking for it. Well, brokers will do that, right? So if you're asking, so if you need empty, carriers, that means you have loads. So if you have loads, that means maybe you're a broker. Maybe, I'm assuming. Then obviously searching for trucks will be the best option for you. But it's a great question. Okay. So let's take this. Adam says, how do you analyze the market rates daily? Since we have this, let me back up. Let me say this. I don't analyze, like, at least I don't. Maybe there's some people, analyzing rates daily. And why we're not doing, this analyzing thing daily? Because in carriers, they need loads like yesterday, so they must move, right? And what I do is that, and again, it's based on experience, but you pretty much know the lane that you run. For example, we run the lane is from Atlanta, Georgia to Houston, Texas. I pretty much know how much brokers pay, right? And I know, for example, if we get an average, let's say 5,000 a load, and again, don't judge me on the numbers I'm just throwing at you, but there will be loads that cost, I don't know, 2,000. There will be loads that it's rush, and it could be like $6,000-$7,000. Yes, it's possible, and we're doing it. So like, if there's like specific way of analyzing, we don't do that, right? We're not like in detail or that detail, just sitting and analyzing the rates. But it's like in general, if I know my lanes, and I know that this broker pays about 5,000, now he pays about like 2,000, and obviously I'm not even calling, right? So I think it comes with the experience. And again, don't take me wrong. I'm not doing daily analyzing the markets. Maybe other people that they're doing the market analysis like every single day. So there's no specific way of doing this. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me take Facebook user. When you negotiate loads with brokers, is it a pretty intense experience? Okay, what are the most broker pretty good with negotiating? Great question. Obviously, this is a really good question. And since we have this topic of communication is the key, and obviously brokers they're really good at negotiating. And why is that? Because we as a carriers we only negotiate with, let's say, with brokers, but brokers they negotiate with shippers and carriers at the same time, and they really good at negotiating. And when it comes to shipper broker negotiation, it's intense, right? Because it's like long term. Think about like, I don't know, 6 months to maybe up to 5 years or something like that. I'm just giving you the X numbers. But with the carrier, it's like daily negotiation. There's no contract, right? But like in general, there's no contract. So you just get your rate confirmation and just deliver the load, or pick a load and then deliver the load. It's not intense because it's not about. It is a sales process, but it's very quick, right? So, like, think about broker's mindset. He really needs to assign this load to you. It's not about calling and closing. That is intense. Maybe it can be intense, right? If I'm calling and trying to close on you or close a deal with you, that is really important. Then it obviously can take hours or days to close a deal. But with the broker, it's not intense. It's basically if you know what to say and how to say it, and obviously how to say it is important. Actually, right? It's really important. And then that's it. Load is yours, right? And you just call him and say, hey, like if this load posted, and you can just call him and take that load. But what we teach is that, or what we're trying to say is that, hey, don't take that load. Negotiate. How? Well, obviously there are like negotiation tactics and strategies that must happen quickly so that you can take that load for a good price, for example. So it's not intense. Okay, let me go. Okay, Juan says, what is the difference between your paid course than free course? The free is very good. Absolutely. Free is good. So as far as free training, we have the startup guide. There's a link that you can download. But if you're saying that, Kamal, I need like actually video training, obviously YouTube is the best friend as far as free content goes. But if you need really, structured, like I go there and then I finish this and then I just stick with you, then I have up and running business, then obviously that is the difference. So you have a mentor watching you, like helping you, like giving you the guidance you need. That is the difference. But when it comes to free training, there is a link below so you can download. Okay, Adam says thank you, you're welcome. Okay, let me see as far as time. Okay, we have 5 more minutes. Let me see what we can do. And again, guys, we need to stick to the plan. The max we can do is like 45 minutes. So how much do dispatchers charge per truck as far as independent freight dispatching goes? And again, it depends. It depends on what. For example, it depends on the market. For example, I'm in the flatbed market. Guy next to me, like he's in driving market, and then right next to me on my right side, guy, he's in the he's a car hauler, for example, right? So he's in auto transport, and obviously charging is different. So you must pick a market, and then and obviously I really I think we covered this already, that based on your services, it's not only you're offering your independent freight dispatching services, which means just a dispatching service, meaning finding a load, booking a load, dispatching a load. If you're just doing that, it's cheaper, right? So when you have an offer, it's different. Like, Kamal, what's the difference between offering and actually offering my services? Well, if you're just offering your finding a load, dispatching a load, I mean, finding a load, booking a load, and dispatching a load, then obviously that is just one service, right? So if you have, let's say, services that you can that I can benefit, then if I know that, okay, if this guy offers or this company offers me X, Y, and Z with marketing or hiring drivers, and obviously you'll be charging more. What I'm trying to say is that you're packaging your services and you offer to carriers, and obviously you charge more. Okay, so okay, let me take this real quick, step by step. Rico says, what documents do you need to send to brokers when you're hauling a load? Well, you will have a carrier, and then carrier will be giving you that his packet, and then you will be sharing that packet with your brokers. So that is that. Okay, let's take from Facebook. The more expensive you have, the more percentage you can request per load. Okay, one more time before I jump into this. The more expensive you have, the more expensive services maybe you have, the more percentage you can, okay, per load. So, oh, the more experience you have, the more, I'm sorry, the more experience you have, the more percentage you can charge. Well, request per load. Well, when you're talking to the brokers, they don't know about your experience, right? But the only thing is that when you're talking to a broker, if you don't know how to say it and how to book a load, then obviously he realizes that you are new in this game. But anyway, he will be, assigning a load to you because he needs your truck. He really needs your truck, right? So that is that. But what I'm saying is that you can charge percentage for your carrier based on services you have, like how many services. And if you just offering me like X, Y, and Z, and then you don't offer me, let's say, marketing and other part of the business, meaning other services, then obviously you will be charging less. So less services, less money. Let's see. Okay, so Bakhtiar says how you start interested to logistic and how much money you earn first month. Well, I don't know the specific amount how much I made, because it's different. When I started, dispatching, I bought my first truck, and that was one of the mistakes that I, made. I'm not going into detail, but I started, trucking, and at the same time I was dispatching my own truck. So that is different than being an independent freight dispatcher. So now I'm switching the gears, like just specifically focusing on being an independent freight dispatcher, so that I can just focus offering our services to carriers and not just taking this a lot of liabilities that I have from my carrier side of the business. Okay, so okay, let me take this real quick. One says, yesterday I read in your comments that had more dispatchers than carriers. What do you think about that? Okay, there's no, research, or there's no, if you have, please share with us that we can, take a look and then we educate ourselves. But I don't think there is a research or study done that there's like more, carriers than, dispatcher. I don't know if that was my comment. Maybe I was answering this question, or like give my thoughts to the question or the comment, but we don't know as far as like how many carriers out there. Maybe we can have approximate numbers, like how many carriers like are there, but when it comes to like how many dispatchers, we don't know. So I don't know if this number really important. Like at least for me, it's not important. Why is that? Because if I know there's a competition, I know that there's money being made, so I will be there, right? So for example, it's like total honesty right here, with like 100% transparency. When I was like working on my business, meaning like on the carrier side of the business, and then being independent freight dispatcher, and then I realized that there are a lot of demand, that people like you guys interested in becoming independent freight dispatcher. And when we started doing this research, and we realized that there are a lot of people already teaching this, and like I didn't even think, and it's like a single second, about like, oh, there are many people. I said, oh, there is a market, right? If they're like, there is a competition, so I will just go there, and then whatever the share I need to take, I will take. and I will do my best to deliver like best services that I can deliver to my students. That is that. So if there is a competition, just go there. If there's no competition, don't go there. So I hope this answered your question. Okay, let me take one more question and then we'll end the session. Let me see, and then we'll meet again on Friday, same time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so this will be the last question. When you call a broker to book a load, do you say you are from your dispatching company? Oh, this is great. Well, absolutely, this is awesome. From your dispatching company or the carrier's name and use their MC number. Awesome. When you call the broker, obviously you are a dispatcher and you team up with the carrier, you mention your carrier's name. You're not dispatching for your dispatching company. So you will be dispatching under whose MC? Carrier's MC. Do you have an MC? You don't. So you don't have an MC, then you don't mention your company name. So guys, thank you so much. It was awesome. A lot of good questions. If you guys are getting the value out of this, please let me know. Leave me a comment. And as far as if you guys have questions right after this call, the live stream. So if you guys have a question, please, this is the email address where you can send me an email. We'll do our best to deliver do our best to help you with your questions. And again, please subscribe. As I said, we talk about business, entrepreneurship, trucking, and obviously independent freight dispatching specifically. So please, if you have any questions, and please don't forget to meet on Friday. So we'll be doing these live streams Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Eastern time, and Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. So prepare your questions. I'll see you then. Thank you.